I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's fun. We do.
Lights not working.
Again?
I checked.
Technology fails us again. I checked, it is recording, so we do have a recording, it's just not the lights on.
Okay, very good. Second item on the agenda is items to be removed from the consent agenda. Does anybody have anything with Jason?
I do not.
Dave? Okay, and for now, that consent agenda will stand as it is. We have the fiscal officer's report. Russell?
The only thing I've got, we did get our second advance from the county in, we put that money in Star of Hiring, we're making about $100 a day off of that.
Good.
It's good stuff. That's it, sir.
Very good. Next item on the agenda is public comment. Anybody have anything? You all have something you want to bring up? I see people here. If you do, you raise your hand and you come up to the podium and give your name and name and address.
Yes, sir.
And tell us why you're here.
My name's Alex Fruloff. I'm at 1132 Apple Blossom Lane. That's down off of Riley Wills past the pet cemetery. And we've been there for 16 plus years. And we'd like your guys' help with a problem that we've been having for those 16 plus years. What's the problem? Okay. We live below a farm. We live in a development right below 100 acre, the Sudfeld Farm. Sudfeld Farm's off of, I think it's old 122.
Peak.
Thank you.
They just sold.
Yeah, it just sold. And so what we're concerned with is we have water problems. And so we get all the water washes down the hill from that 100 acre, 95 acre farm down into our development. And my wife and I are getting older, and we no longer need a 2-story house because our kids are growing out. And so we're going to be in the market to sell the house. And what I don't want to do is I don't want to stick some poor family with a house that gets flooded once, at least every other year. And it's progressively gotten worse in the last 16 years. The developer, which was Design Homes, attempted to fix it, quote unquote fix it, and what they did is they turned my yard and my neighbor Pat's yard into a retaining pond, and they dug a ditch from where the wash comes down behind 3 houses, and then they turned my backyard, the back right corner of my yard, into a retaining pond. And it's, I'm showing up from school one day, and the guy's back there with a backhoe making changes to my yard that, unbeknownst to me. And so we'd like your guys' help before it gets all that concrete in the Sudfeld Farm. Concrete doesn't hold near as much water as dirt does, and so we're worried what's going to happen after that development begins. And we do have assorted pictures of the
Flood.
who wants to look?
I don't know how many duplicates or whatever's in there, but
We'll give you quarters. So this stuff happens. Anybody else?
it's like once or twice. It's not just a regular rain. It's when it rains really hard, which I know you're going to have flooding anywhere, but it washes in the whole cul-de-sac. My driveway, it's almost into my garage. It got into their 2 basements this year, so it just keeps getting deeper and worse. I've got a 4-foot split rail fence, and it gets up to the 3rd split rail, so it's not it's not a little amount.
And none of us buy mulch because I made the mistake buying mulch this year in the first flood, and the mulch is completely gone.
You get a lot of corn cobs, but that doesn't look as good as the mulch.
Oh, it's terrible.
And so we've been back and forth with the developer, and then the developer said, the county signed off, so it's the county's problem. So then we're back and forth with the county, and then the county says, it's Clay Creek Township's problem. And so we're the ping pong ball.
Who did you talk to at the county engineer's office?
Yes, I did.
And who did you talk to?
I called him several times, and the lady I talked to first said he's horrible about returning calls.
At least they admit it.
Yeah.
They sent a
and-
couple college kids down one summer.
Yeah, they
And a couple
did.
engineering students down, and that was their job one summer, was to fix the drainage problem. And then after 3 weeks of work, the kids go back to school with no result. And so it's like, we keep, somebody please pick this up and do something with it. Okay, it's their job. Oh, please pick it up and do something with it. And so we've been there 16, well, us and our neighbor have been there for 16 plus years. And it's just getting worse. It's not getting better. And with the development up above us now on that farm, the Sutfeld farm, that's our cause for concern.
Well, drainages, we've got lots of drainage issues around.
Yes, sir, I understand.
Things changing, so it is a problem, for sure. And, I think all we can do is contact the county engineer, and see what the rating is on it, and why they haven't looked at it, if they signed off on it. Yeah.
I am aware of the situation, Scott and I actually went out and looked at it last week.
Yes, sir.
Now, you and your yard, we came down his property lines, taking a look at what was done down there. There's some challenges there. Elevation's not favorable. I think there's just kind of a mishmash of different drainage.
Makes sense.
Yeah, drainage infrastructure that's both exposed and covered. So, I mean, between our contacts with Design Homes as well as engineer's office, we can, at minimum, we can try to advocate for you and see what recommendations they can make or what work they'd be willing to do.
Yeah, Design House is pretty adamant that their hands are clean with the situation now. And, like I said before, we're the ping pong ball that's been hit back and forth. And now we're getting, I'm not getting any younger, we don't need a two-story house. And so I don't want to stick. One of our neighbors has done that.
Well, are you legally allowed to, one neighbor just moved in, and their parents are asking, should they have written down that this happens? So, and then it's like, do you legally have to, because it's not a problem you can fix anyway.
It's not a floodplain, so that's where they're leaking, that's where they're.
I'm not going to opine on real
Right.
estate law, but
Yeah.
the last purchase contract I remember does not include any sort of surface drainage issues.
Right.
Water item in there with water in the basement.
I guess my concern, sitting on this board, and I appreciate you coming to us, is that the county told you that it was our responsibility.
Yeah, but they know darn good.
They know very well it's theirs, and we continue to remind them that it's theirs. And I'm getting to a point of frustration on behalf of our residents and myself,
Right.
that we continue to see these things that we can't do this.
Well, Design Homes is adamant it's not theirs. And
That's a
Elmore
different,
County is
yeah, that's a
adamant that
different
it's not
discussion.
theirs.
The county needs to take ownership of
Right.
it, and we will advocate on your behalf
Right.
for them to do that. And I'm prepared to be the representative of the board to go meet with them and with Mr. Pacheco, because this is just going on too. We've had major rain events, we all know that. These are 50-year events that have happened in the last 3 years. It's just crazy.
Right.
I, of course, blame Trump, but I just joke. I joke about that because everybody else blames Trump for everything else. I figure, well, the rain's his fault too.
Right.
So, what I don't understand is why they continue to take that tone, because they know there's issues. I'm sure they've got them all over the county,
Right.
I would guess, based on how much rain we have had.
Still.
But still, they're signing off on some of these things that we've had to deal with over the years that we are now, and we had one very recently that they signed off on that they knew good and well they shouldn't have.
Right.
So, I'm willing to, if it pleases the board, I'll be happy to get involved with Mr. Clark and Mr. Pacheco to try to help you. I get worked up about it, I'm sorry, it's just frustrating.
Touch with the county engineers, and try to put them on the spot.
Does that, my big concern is, you've got, I think it's 95, 98 acres above us now. Could somebody make them put a retention pond into the back of that 95, 98
Absolutely.
acres? to
Absolutely.
Catch all of that and then,
Absolutely.
disperse it a little bit more slowly so that we
They-
don't get,
Unlike drainage issues of yesteryear, today's developments do require some surface runoff management,
Protection.
stormwater management, part of which are retention and detention ponds that have controlled release. So contrary to what might be your natural thought process, sometimes development actually helps a drainage issue rather than worsens it.
In this case.
I'm not saying that.
I see your
That's
concrete
not to-
versus granite.
I'm just saying, there's
a lot of
stormwater
the-
management components that are part of the development now that
Right.
did not exist.
I just know that my yard was the fix.
Right.
So 8, 10 years ago, my wife up to, you get the exact date, but when Sign Homes tried to do it, I come home and my yard's gone, and now there's a big, there's a 4-foot deep, gully between my house and Pat's house. It used to be nice to cut that side of the house, but now you gotta go down the gully to cut it. And I'm worried, what could possibly happen to my yard or my neighbor's yards to fix the problem. So any help that you guys, could give us would be greatly appreciated.
I'd like to add some stuff to what
Yeah.
you...
Come on up,
Okay.
give us your name if you would for the record.
My name is Michael Bean. I live at 1133 Alpha Boston Lane, right across the street from this gentleman. And during this last flood that occurred, my backyard was completely flooded. And one of the things that bothers me about that is that we all have leach fields there.
Right.
And I do not like the idea of that water sitting on top of that leach field and then just moving down and washing over everybody else's yard in the neighborhood.
That's right.
With the kids
Yeah,
playing
a lot of
in it.
that.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Everybody has kids in the neighborhood.
Sure.
And there's also a large electrical box in my front yard. And, yeah, it goes up more than halfway, on that electrical box. Another issue is the basement. This year was the first year that it started flooding and coming in through the windows. But several years ago, we've also gotten at least 3 cracks from the water pressure, from all these floods. And I don't want my basement to get damaged any more than it already has been from all of this. So I'm just worried about continued cracks, maybe even wall collapsing because of all the pressure of all this water. So that's all I wanted to add.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, gentlemen.
You're very welcome.
Can I get a copy of this?
Pat?
I think, yeah. I think there's,
I would give back.
yeah, no, I
Scan.
think she made a bunch of spares anyway.
I just want to scan my order.
Yeah, there's a few that has, there's a few that have my daughter playing in the mud in
Yeah.
the front yard. So,
I
my
did.
whole driveway.
Yeah, I saw that.
And like
Yeah.
an inch, I have to
That's
pressure
what was
wash
left.
it about twice a year.
Yep.
1144. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so I also have videos too, if you want me to send them. Just shows at least how quickly it washes.
Sure.
around.
I know it's got a real crew out there doing some ditching.
Yeah.
Recently, which is why it brought it to my attention.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And I see we have some other guests back here. Come on up.
It's like second home to me almost.
You should join a committee, you've been here so much.
My name is David Trips. I live at 1974 East Line, Five Points Road. And first, before I go ahead, what I was going to say, I'd like to commend both fire and police chiefs. Their crews responded to medical issue at our church yesterday. Excellent response. People handled things just amazingly. Police crews for their support. So I come from a public safety side of the fence, so I appreciate seeing that.
That's all.
Thank you. I hear the name, I don't hear the name, I hear Design Homes, but,
That already is lost on me.
and actually, I'm somewhat surprised I don't see David Oaks here this evening. I thought maybe he might be, because I know that we're at another phase of approval for his project. And I spoke to him on the phone, which is why I kind of really expected he would have been here. But we are maintaining contact, and as far as his intentions of moving forward with resolution to the problem that I was really having to deal with, and that was recovery of my yard back to something that did not have a ditch, that we can't even mow and so on. He has the intention of moving forward with that. And at the last meeting, he indicated, when I requested some kind of a deadline, I wanted something that we could see where are we going to have finishing touches. He indicated that, well, within 30 days of approval by the county to be able to act upon putting, culvert tiles in place and so on. As of, as of Thursday, Friday, I guess it was, the county still has not received any type of drawings or submitted anything to actually have something done.
So you can't, they haven't said the 30 days can't start because the county hasn't seen it.
Precisely, and maybe I misworded what my request was. I would have maybe liked to have had a deadline of when will you start. Don't give me a 30 days from a ghost date.
Shouldn't have to do that. That's
So-
all fairness to you, he should have done that anyway, and got that process started.
I think one of the things that's most frustrating to myself and my wife is the property that's down street from us had no ditch. They now have no ditch. They have no retention or culvert tiles. He just made it nice and level. It's already done. The farmland across from us used to have a ditch. It's supposed to have a ditch, but instead it's been graded, smooth. That's what I want ours recovered to. So he's done everything else, but he hasn't addressed ours. So that's where I wanted to come and be here. And like I say, I fully expected that he would be here. But given that, I don't know where this leaves us in the progress of the approval of the rest of his project. So,
Well, that is, yes.
I did speak with Mr. Oaks on Friday. He represented to me that he was going to talk with you, and that he represented at that time it was within the next month he would have approval and have everything finalized this fall. So I don't know, that was what he represented me. I don't know the validity of that, but I'm not sure if he represented similar to you or if that was something that did not come through in conversation.
he did indicate that. However, again, how many weeks has it been
Several.
since the last meeting? And, at that point in time, how long does it really take? He had the culvert tile delivered probably 6-8 weeks ago. It's been sitting there off next to the property. How long does it take to submit a drawing to the county and move on? That's the difficult thing. So, anyway, that's really all I needed to address.
Well, the first thing that jumps into my head is, rather than having a second reading of this, that we table it until he actually does something and gets that process moving. Can we do that?
Where does the county's process hang on our approval of it? That was going to be my question.
Well, the county wouldn't, we could intervene, but they're the ones who do the culvert. And that's,
I'm saying, are they going to hold that culvert permit until they get this resolution from us permitting, or was it?
those
more of a horse
Those are two
race?
separate-
Yeah, it's two separate things. The improvement that was part of Mr. Trich's realignment was part of the road for section 7, I believe, as its entirety, so that you could get into the subdivision. So that's moving over here. This is what will be a replat of section 7. So they are within the same region, but they're two separate processes. So, as clear as mud as that is.
Well, no, I think
That's the leverage you got.
there's not a necessity for us to do anything until we feel.
But,
Well, it's a thing on it, he needs to take care of these things.
so the process that we're in, just so that we get it out there, he gave modification of stage 2 approval. So he's submitted for his stage 3 approval, so that will come before the zoning commission. Then that goes through process and then has to become a final plat. So there'll be an element with Warren County Regional Planning, and then finally, that final plat will need to be signed by myself. So that's the next two deadlines that exist. One would assume that he would have already resolved it. He has not. He has an opportunity to resolve it for it. He has another public discussion about why he's not done it at the stage 3, if this were to move forward this evening. And then if that becomes something that is interconnected, because it was my understanding at the last meeting, those were kind of separated out. You've got something going on with David Oaks, you get that resolved, looks like that's resolved, it wasn't integrated in wording into the current document. So if that was my misunderstanding and you guys wanted something integrated in there, then
I don't think-
that would bring it back, but if there's,
But I feel like it was a good faith effort on our parts to make sure that they resolved their issue. And it sounds like David's dragging his feet.
so, at a minimum, that's the two next hurdles that he'll have to go through. So I'm not sure from law director where additional guidance can come from this.
So, I mean, go ahead. I was going to say, we could delay that. I think we can.
Well, I certainly don't have a problem if the board feels that it needs to table it.
Put some pressure on them to get this done.
I don't have any problem with the board tabling it, because the board doesn't think this is necessarily right for the, because the resolution in front of the board doesn't necessarily think that it's right for the PUD. I don't have a problem with that.
Gotcha.
So if that's what the board wants to do, I don't think there's any problem with that for a couple of weeks.
Well, I think we can definitely say that we want to take a couple more weeks and revisit this, all these changes from resolution 3632.
You do have a new, as per your last meeting, we did add a paragraph to the legislation with respect to the identification of the open space requirements, because what we wanted to do was, it's on the back page of the one you've got, where it talks about, so that was added, so the board hasn't had a chance to review that language, so maybe the board wants to review that language.
I'd like to review that language for.
Determine whether or not that, so there's an open space exhibit, and maybe the board doesn't like where that open space is, or not, and so there you go, you kick it for 2 weeks, and then come back and see where you are.
Well, I think that'd be a very good idea.
I'll make a motion to table D-176, second reading.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yeah.
Mr. Mearsfall?
Yeah.
Mr. Wade?
So,
Table
Mr.
until,
Palmer?
till the next meeting?
Yes. Thanks, Chris. Mr. Palmer, would you contact Mr. Oaks? If you have any questions, if you'd like to contact me and to get our thoughts on that.
Okay. I'll explain everything that exists, and if you need additional, I'll let us.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Moving on, anything else in the public comments before we pass to public comments?
Yeah.
All right, moving on.
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, okay,
Yep.
go on up. You
Hey.
would state your name and
Absolutely.
address, please.
My name is Zach Clark. My address is 1115 Apple Blossom Lane. It's 1115 Apple Blossom Lane. Just want to discuss some issues. I know several other residents, neighbors around me have addressed water issues in the township. I think it's a growing concern. I think for certainly those of us that are in Apple Creek Reserve, but I think those around the township as a whole, we have significant water issues pretty much anytime we have any amount of rain. Certainly more so when we have significant amounts of rain. We live to the north of the farm on Pekin, 95 roughly acre farm that recently sold. We consistently get runoff from the farm time and time again. It's not new. Anyone that's ever been out that way has probably seen it, wondered what in the world happened, or just kind of just scratched their head a little bit. We have had our ditches dug out. The township has graciously come out and done that, which I want to thank the township for their support and help with that. And when I say ditches that are in the right of way, they've done that, and to no avail. It provides little to no reprieve. As I understand it, the builder of our development bears no responsibility. The county ultimately signed off on all the plans that the developer had and did, and you know, we've gotten nowhere with them. Residents that built their houses, that staked their...
Let me stop.
Yes.
We've heard exactly that same thing.
Okay.
And we have, we're going to contact the county and get a meeting set up with them so so you'll know where we're headed, because we too are aggravated with the county for not doing something.
Sure.
They need to get a plan together, and your situation is bad, and we have other ones that are similar, just as bad. And we can't seem to get them to move, for lack of a better word, and get some kind of design, and as somebody mentioned earlier in your cases, that we need to put do they need to put, the owners of the property, some kind of detention pond on the old Saltstead property?
Mm-hmm.
Something like that, but you're right, something that the county needs to change, and they need to react to these things.
Yeah, because short of actually, and I don't know if any, forgive me for my tardiness, I don't know if any pictures were displayed or video, but we have, I mean, we're talking to the point where pools are completely picked up and moved, and that is, I think all of us would agree, if that happened to you, if it was a county person,
Yeah.
nobody likes it, the bottom line.
No.
And especially if you have to deal with it and clean it up, and, like my, Michael, resident to the, be the east of me, they dug a pretty significant ditch out there, and again, it's not gonna do anything. That's, you could say that's speculative, but it's not gonna do anything. It's just not. I mean, there's just too much water for that area, so.
Well, we're going to set up a meeting with the county, see if we can get some resolve to this, and like I said, we have a couple residents too that they, I won't say they're ignoring, but they're not doing anything else out there. And I'm sure that they have them all over the county, but that doesn't make any difference.
Yeah, it doesn't. I mean, we're the ones that pay the price for it, and a meeting's great, with all due respect, a meeting's great, but, you know, that's a step, I will say that, and I think that we all would agree that's some sort of progress, but at the same time, it's like, some of the folks in the neighborhood have been dealing with it for over a decade, and that's unacceptable, so.
So that's where we're at, we'll get your phone numbers to contact back, see if we can get something done.
Okay. Okay. We'll hold you guys accountable for that. I mean, absolutely.
Okay, we don't have the ability to go on your property and fix it. County does. That's the difference.
If they told you anything otherwise, it's absolutely not true.
So let's say, and I'm not, I mean, let's say that you have the meeting with them and it's, they bear no, I mean, is there any next steps for we as residents that we could take? I'm not asking the council if their hands are tied of sorts. I mean, is there any remedy that we as residents have?
You should consult an attorney, really. I mean,
Well, that's what the
private
old
attorney.
people tried, but, you know, how much money does the county have versus how much is the neighborhood gonna have, families? From a legal perspective, I understand, go ahead.
Let us get to have a meeting and see if we can get something done.
We've had some success in the past, because when we appeal to them, they understand that we're on a broader scale than just one neighborhood.
Sure.
And,
Let's see what we can do.
yeah, let's see what I got fired up before, I'm not gonna get fired up again. Let's see what we can do.
Maybe post-meeting.
Well,
I'm kidding,
I mean,
I'm kidding.
the challenge becomes, we're not engineers, and I've been here 8 years. One of the challenges I find is, we start talking about water, and we don't really, and I know this is gonna sound strange, because our guys come out and dig ditches, and they do a great job.
They do a great job.
But we're not really in the water business, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Because county water and city water, this is what supplies to you.
Sure.
We don't do that either, so all of the stuff that was signed off on was signed off on by that office,
Absolutely.
not us.
Sure.
So, what we can do is appeal to them to revisit all of this and say, take a good look at it, instead of, we know there's a problem. That doesn't, I mean, we do too, we all do. So-
They have a stormwater assessment that they put on everybody in the
Right.
city.
Yeah, we're paying that, right?
Yeah.
We're paying that, so
Absolutely.
that is,
And it's,
that's a known fact.
absolutely.
I can see that. So is it fair to say, I mean, I'm just trying to think of a follow-up for we as residents, what is a reasonable amount of time that you would say if you don't hear something or hear any type of communication by?
Well, I would think that probably this week we'll see if we can get the meeting set up with Neil to start with.
Yeah.
And,
Matt will be our point man on it.
Okay.
and we'll, that'll happen fairly quick. Neil's usually, we can get a meeting with him, it's seem to do anything. I would say at least, we should be able to have something in a couple of weeks to say, okay, here's the next step. So let's.
If I called in two, I'm just not trying to, I called in 2 weeks and said, where are we at with this, I should have, I shouldn't be told, hey, we're still working on it, I mean.
Matt is really good about following up
Okay.
with that.
2 weeks is, Matt, is that enough time?
Yeah, well, that would be next week, or in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
We should have had an opportunity to meet with the county and at least.
Some indication of something.
Put this in front of them.
If they want videos too, we got plenty of videos. that we- I just attached videos and emailed them.
Okay.
Those are all the pictures I gathered from a few
I
of the
can
names.
send you my videos as well, I mean, from our property vantage point,
Sure.
so, yeah.
That'd be good, thank you.
Okay.
Very good.
All right, that's all I have, appreciate it.
Okay, thanks.
Mhm.
Okay. Now we're moving on to resolution 5182. Resolution determining that maintenance of following properties constitute a nuisance.
Yeah, out of the 9 properties, they've all historically been an issue. The Waynesboro Way property is one that has been a recent issue, so. Vanilla stuff.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Palmer about 5182? Motion to approve 5182.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Meterspaugh.
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard.
Yay.
Mr. Wade.
Yay. Anything else from planning and zoning?
Enough tonight, sir.
Police department. Chief?
A couple donations. Mr. Davis contacted me by email. He and his wife moved up here from Peachtree City, Georgia about a year ago, and I guess they were doing some things, and he was settling in and decided to fire off an email. Apparently he called the police department, public safety down there where he was at. And we just had some chats back and forth. He wanted to make a donation to the police department in some fashion, so he sent a $200 check in to go towards safety town. We appreciate his donation on behalf of him and his wife Susan for that. Mr. Gabbard, his wife Tracy made a donation of $150 toward National Night Out. I'd ask the board to accept both those donations, and I thank them also.
Very good. So motion to accept these 2 donations to the police department.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard.
Abstain.
Mr. Meterspaugh.
Yay.
Mr. Wade.
Yay. And anything else from the police department?
Just thank the board for their support for National Night Out. It went pretty well. Quick count, about 1,100 cars, so multiply that times a couple people per car out somewhere in the neighborhood, so. Even we had a couple of rainstorms, went well.
Had them early, I mean, by the time 6:37.
That was nice.
Yeah,
Very good.
that was good.
Nicely done. Nothing from road and parks other than that is on the consent agenda.
And Scott's on vacation this week, he's still working on his condo down on the beach.
Okay. And fire district also items on the consent agenda. Anything else, Steve? Administration, same way? Okay. We do have the consent agenda. We've had a chance to take a look at these and the items on there. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? So moved.
Second.
Mr. Meterspaugh.
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard.
Yay.
Mr. Wade.
Yeah. And we have staff updates. Anybody have anything else?
Yeah, following the email for the annual gala dinner for the chamber, Mr. Gaylor realized that it was a conflict with the trustee meeting that night on October 14th. Trustee meetings at 5:30 and the dinner begins at 5, so a couple of different options. I think I would probably recommend just one earlier in the day if the board can manage it. Ultimately, we can schedule it for another night.
Early in the day looks fine with me, but if we need to move it for other reasons, also, that's 14th in the morning, or usually 14th, October. Should be okay.
I'll look, I think I'm good.
I'm gonna try to schedule it for like in the afternoon.
Okay. Good.
Kids are all, that's Columbus Day as well. but we're here, and,
Can you do first thing in the morning?
no, that's fine, no,
3 o'clock?
3's fine.
3 o'clock, sorry. Okay.
Kids are off school that day.
And then, probably need a motion to change the set date.
I'll make a motion to change the meeting date on October 14th to 3 p.m.
I'll second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsfall?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. Thank you. Anything else, Matt? Okay. We do have an executive session scheduled, we have some interviews. Is there a motion to recess the regular
Mr.
meeting?
Wade, if I may, I'd also like to read on the record an additional item for executive session under 1.1.22G2. Exception is to consider the purchase of property for public purposes, in addition to the G1 exception that you just mentioned, the commission.
All right. Okay. Is there a motion to recess the regular meeting and go to executive session? So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsfall?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Time to reconvene our meeting coming out of executive session. We do have some business to take care of tonight involving the zoning board, zoning commission, and I'd like to entertain a motion to reappoint John Edelman as a full member, to appoint Dennis Pickett as a full member, and to reappoint Stacy Tippler as an alternate, and Bill Haynes as an alternate. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's for the zoning commission, and I've got their end dates that I'll get to
Okay.
Russ.
All right.
So,
Okay.
yeah, let's
Okay.
make it official in that regard. Those
So
are the people.
motion to that effect?
So moved.
Second. Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsfall?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yay. And at this time, we'd like to reappoint Ron Bess as a full member to the Board of Zoning Appeals, and Joe Ellis to be reappointed as an alternate, and that leaves one full member position and one alternate.
Give one full member position at this time, sir.
Not an alternate.
No, it wouldn't cover the
Okay,
alternate.
very good.
Huh?
All right, is there a motion to reappoint Mr. Best and Mr. Ellis? So moved.
Second.
Mr. Mearsfall?
Yay.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah. Perfect. I think that's it, isn't it, gentlemen?
I have nothing further, sir.
Okay. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Gabbard?
Yay.
Mr. Mearsfall?
Yay.
Mr. Wade?
Yeah. Another, sir. Congratulations. I know when I find out. I'm happy. Me too.
You're welcome.